don't we all feel like outsiders? At least when we're teenagers. It's a feeling I think everybody can relate to.
Was the idea of being the outsiders in the show the big draw to your roles? Since your characters are kind of like the audience, really, to helping the audience understand the rules of New York society at the time.
That's a great way of thinking about them. I don't know if I'd quite ever articulated it quite like that, but yes, they are the outsiders. They're the interlopers. Yeah. And that's always fun. I mean, don't we all feel like outsiders? At least when we're teenagers. It's a feeling I think everybody can relate to. And it's also a source of dynamism in the plot. And so it's always fun to play a character that's sort of propelling in that way, that's propulsive, that has energy. That's always attractive to me. Morgan?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, this show is so much about really just being a pleasure for the audience. And I think there is something just innately pleasurable about having characters who are both outsiders, as you're saying, but actually also have a tremendous amount of power. So it's a way to have it. It's kind of both ways. That can only really happen in a fiction, which is nice.
And I think your characters are also perfect for each other because they have this ability to like turn the charm on and off. Is it fun to be able to have characters that are so well written that they just change their personalities kind of from scene to scene?
It certainly makes them more three-dimensional, people who are savvy in that way. I love to imagine just the moment where Bertha saw George across the room and was like, that's him, that's the guy. That's my guy. Because I think you're right. They share that capacity and they relish it and they know how to put it to good use, whether you like it or not. And I also love that there's an honesty about the way they're dealing with each other, which I think is the foundation of their respect. There's a real level of honesty to their relationship. And they bring that sometimes into the dealings that they have in the outside world. So Bertha's very quick to point out what she sees as a very arbitrary social rule. And George is very quick to point out, you lost. This is a rule of business and you lost, Right. They're just in a way, they're very plain spoken, even as they are also cunning and charming. But there's a kind of straightforwardness about them that I love.
Yeah, I think, as you were saying, that's like one of the gifts of being the outsiders. You can sort of say the unsayable. Nobody expects you to be bound by the rules of the inside community. So you can sort of, you have a little bit more freedom in a certain way.
Oh, yeah. And Carrie, what do you think is magical about the show recreating a New York that sort of disappeared from the world now?
It really has. I remember being profoundly sad when I was researching some of Alva Vanderbilt's homes to realize that they had mostly been destroyed. Because, of course, New York is always remaking itself, but there's a cost to that. So I think it's an extraordinary... our production designers are so incredible. They've really recreated these rooms, and they've done a lot of research. So the elements that you're seeing are elements that did exist in these homes that are no longer with us. And so it's really exciting to get to walk into those rooms and to invite the viewers to see them as well. And then also, I didn't realize, I knew nothing about Newport. All of these great summer homes are still there. And we shot in so many of them. And I'm looking forward to going back if we have the opportunity to do another season. And I hope that more people will go and they can enjoy these places firsthand. They're open to the public. And that's just not something I knew about growing up in the Midwest.
Yeah. And are you hoping that you get to go back to New York for a Ghostbusters sequel, maybe?
Sure. Hey, look. Who are you going to call? Hopefully me. I'm looking forward to the possibility. It seems like, the movie did pretty well, and we got to hurry up and make one before the kids are 30 and I'm grandma. So I'm ready when they are.
Well, it was great to have a chance to talk to Carrie and Morgan, and wish you the best of luck on The Gilded Age.
Thank you so much.
So many period shows usually focus on older generations. And The Gilded Age gives us a chance to see how younger people acted during this time too. And do you think audiences will be surprised to see just how similar people from this time period acted to today?
I think themes like parental rebellion, I think they just kind of percolate through history. I think that's always been something which has happened. The older generations have a very enshrined way of doing things and their own moral and behavioral codes, and it's for the next generation to kind of pick away at them and challenge them. And I think this show does a brilliant job at showing that. I mean, certainly Oscar's relationship with Agnes, he's very happy, you know, in a world where everyone else kind of tiptoes around her to undercut her, to mock her, to challenge her. He's constantly kind of batting away her ideas that the nouveau riche shouldn't be allowed into polite society. So yeah, I think it feels very modern and current, that sense of kind of kids rebelling against their parents.
Especially with Gladys, you know, her character is constantly trying to rebel. What was it like to play that character?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the thing that I relate to immediately with Gladys was her frustration of growing up in a house with like seemingly arbitrary rules. They didn't make sense, and why she couldn't go out, why she couldn't just find a husband. Fine, she can't have freedom without a husband, then let her get a husband. Oh, this husband's not good enough, I need a different husband. You know, her mother Bertha has so many expectations for her, and obviously that stems from Bertha growing up more in a working class family, and George, and then building and earning their money, and finding her place, and climbing up the ladder, whereas Gladys was born into privilege. And Gladys, you know, she wants freedom. There's no other way to say it. She doesn't want to do what her parents want her to do. And I think every person can relate to that in some regard.
And Blake, Oscar's character, his situation is so interesting because we learn really early on that he's also gay, which is not really, you know, focused, you know, not really celebrated in this time period. But he has a really realistic view of the situation. Like, he knows that he's going to try to find a wife. And I was wondering, in the future of the show, are we going to see these two sides of his life clash in public?
I can't say too much without giving things away, but it's. I think you're absolutely right. I think he's very pragmatic. I mean, I think he values his own happiness very heavily, and if that means stomping on various behavioural and moral codes, that's absolutely fine. Back in the day, you know, marriage was far more transactional. Not every marriage was predicated upon love. So the idea that Oscar's kind of hunting for an heiress, but also wants to find happiness elsewhere, I don't think it was such an alien concept at the time in the way that it is now, where one expects kind of marriage to be everything. It's kind of composite of life partner and happiness and relationship. But yeah, I mean, there is a certain incompatibility there, which I'm sure will erupt forth at some point.
Well, it was really great talking to you both for a little bit about your characters on The Gilded Age, and I wish you the best of luck. It's a great show so far.